I don't know.
Oh, it was a real formal fucking recording in progress.
I know, I've never heard that before.
Always makes me jump. I always forget it's there.
I don't think I've done one of these on Zoom, so I've never seen that before.
Oh, really? Would you use it on? Or did you like sit down in a proper podcast studio?
I've done that, and then I think I've done it through. What have I done it through? Probably Skype.
Skype, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they have that recording thing option.
Yeah, I did it on Skype for ages. But it would take me about anywhere between 2 and 5 hours to like edit and render and then change the fucking the type of the file and all that type of stuff. It was awful. And then it literally just goes straight to an MP4 straight, and I just click it on the RSS and it goes straight up.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
I'll keep that in mind.
I always kind of give people a nudge saying, hey, don't say anything like super controversial because I don't edit. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like bleep it out.
Your life a lot easier. Yeah. It makes your life a lot easier. That's awesome.
All right. So people that have no idea who you are, right? Obviously we're speaking the same language, all right, but we sound a little bit different.
Right.
You're an absolute weapon with that barbell. Okay, so maybe you dive in and give us a little bit of a lowdown on what you do.
Okay, my name is Kelly Lenahan, and I am a powerlifter. I've been powerlifting for around 6 years now, I think. Keep losing track. And I also coach. I coach powerlifting, but I also coach general fitness. And yeah, I'm just kind of a fitness enthusiast, I guess I would call myself. I love lifting heavy things.
Oh yeah.
So
but you don't have to raise your arms above your head.
Right. Yeah, I have to clarify that for a lot of people often. They ask me what I do, and I'm like, I don't do the overhead stuff.
Yeah. No, I
like my shoulders.
I only throw that at you because I just take the piss out of my brother. He's a powerlifter too. And every time he deadlifts, I'm like, that's just a failed clean, right? You're just not strong enough to get underneath it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I just poked the bear a little bit, but he's just absolutely offensively strong. You know what I mean? Like,
so he's like, you can't even talk to me, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. I'm like, well, dude, the bar didn't finish above your head. That's a no lift. And yeah, he'll just look at me.
He's like,
yeah, too many reds on the bar.
I was gonna say. Then he asks you what your deadlift is.
I'm like, what's a deadlift?
Yeah, what is that?
It's like, no, don't set up like a clean. Take your lifters off.
Funny.
It's like, what's going on?
Take your lifters off. Yes. Yeah. I started the first time when I started deadlifting, I actually was deadlifting in lifters because I had no idea what I was doing. Good times.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anyone sumo in lifters?
No.
That's
maybe one person. But yeah, that sounds absolutely awful, honestly.
What is like the worst thing you've ever seen in a gym environment?
That's hard. I don't know. Usually it's like accessory movements, people doing like things on the machines that are like completely like not what it's made for. I don't know. And then I don't know if it's the worst thing, but like the funniest thing I've seen is like have you seen people work out their like neck? Like strap something. That's like the most ridiculous. Like I'm sure there's like a purpose. Like I'm like, okay, like I'm sure whatever, but just watching someone do that in the gym is just the most ridiculous thing. I'm like, what is going on? With like something strapped to the top of their head.
It looks like something out of Saw, you know what I mean? You've got like this contraption just strapped to your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of lads doing that.
Which is like your neck isn't strong enough. What's going on there? I don't I haven't really looked into the benefit. I mean, I know some people, some like actual, like very smart lifters that have used it. So apparently there's a good purpose behind it, but I haven't really
I
looked
mean,
into that.
in terms of like, you know, either quote unquote aesthetics or like strength training, is it like if you're like focusing on that, you're probably missing the bigger picture.
Right.
But it's more like I can relate it to back home. One of the first gyms I ever trained out of was like a bodybuilding gym, right? But it also had an ex GB boxing coach kind of like coaching out of there. And he used to coach a lot of boxers basically to keep them off the street. So for that purpose, like, yes, that's like necessary, like sport specific. If you're getting your head rattled all the time, like you need a little bit of support structure. But you know, you get those boys coming in like a singlet shirt who are 60 kilos soaking wet, and they're doing some like neck curls, and you're like,
right.
Okay.
Should probably do some other things.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe squat, deadlift, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe gain some weight. I don't know.
Yeah, I've just thrown it out there, you know. That literally the hands down, and I'll go back to this like maybe once a month, right? And it will mentally throw me off. Is I've seen someone spot a deadlift from the front.
Yes.
And on the chin.
I have seen that. On the chin. Actually, yes, I have never seen that in person.
Oh,
I've seen it
online?
Yes, I've seen it online. I've seen some crazy things online. I've never seen that in person. Yeah, I've seen that before. And I'm like, what is, I don't, okay.
Yeah, I walked out. I was like, I'm gonna get my session later.
I probably would have to do that because I think I would end up saying something.
Yeah.
Like I just gotta leave.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you'd have said it in a much more polite manner than I would have. You know what I mean? Probably would have thrown something at him, man. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah. I guess it depends on the person because sometimes I'm like, what is? Yeah, it's hard to. I think that's. Well, I feel like it's easier the longer I've been in it. I think at the beginning when I first started learning things, I was like, oh, I want to share things. I want to share my knowledge, what I know. And then now I guess being in this for so long, you kind of just, you realize you can't fix everyone, you know, like you can't help every single person. If they ask for help, then I'll like offer it, but I don't just go out of my way to, unless someone looks like they're about to hurt themselves, then I'm like, I'll say something.
There's a lot of prejudice too, right? Like, you know, they'll kind of come up to you and be like, "Oh, what the fuck do you know?" or whatever. It's like, you know, a little bit more than you, clearly.
Yeah. Especially as a woman too in the gym, it's like, I mean, majority of the time, nobody's really gonna care what I say anyway. So, yeah, it depends. Because at my gym, honestly, though, I have had some good experiences but usually that's after they see me lift.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, we'll listen to her now. You know, like we just watched her, you know, rep out whatever on deadlifts. So I'm like, oh, okay, now you're gonna listen to me.
So, talk to me about that, like that female prejudice, right? Because that's something. First of all, I don't understand it. I don't get why someone would be like, she don't know what she's talking about. Right. And second of all, like obviously I've not experienced it. You know, I'm not a female.
Yeah.
So like, fucking talk to me about it.
I mean, I guess in a way, I don't want to say it makes sense, but I understand why it happens because, you know, the majority of women are not as strong as the majority of men. I think if we, you know, lined up majority of women and how much they can lift and men. So, and then also, I mean, the strength sports are predominantly, you know, there's mostly men in them. So the average woman who's lifting probably won't know as much as guys. I don't know, just because everything is catered to, most things are catered towards men in the, you know, fitness world. I think it's slowly shifting. I feel like I've definitely seen a shift in the last couple of years, especially as, you know, I mean, powerlifting has absolutely exploded in the past, probably like what, 3-4 years. Um, when I first got into it, there was like a handful of powerlifters. I think off the top of my head, Meg squats. Meg was powerlifting. That's like the biggest name I knew back then. And there's like one other girl, Chelsea Lifts. I don't know if you remember her.
Chelsea Lifts,
This was like
that rings a bell.
she fell off. I don't know what she's doing now. I think she's just doing general fitness stuff. But yeah, those were like the big names back when I started. So there was no community, like women powerlifters in the community. I mean, there were some, obviously, just very few. So I think it's slowly starting to shift where there are more women in the field, but I don't know. I mean, I don't feel a lot of it now. Just I think because I'm in a community here, especially here in Texas, where I'm around a lot of people that do respect, women in strength sports. But in the average gym, I can definitely, it's just, I'm kind of used to it. They're just going to go, who's this girl? Unless, this is funny, but when when guys see that I, have delts, I have arms, like I have muscle definition, like if I have a tank top on or something, then it's like immediately like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, like, but otherwise it's like people are just gonna assume you're just some normie like walking around the gym, you don't know what you're talking about. So I think that I kind of chuckle to myself in the gym every time I'm in the gym, because I definitely do get looked at differently when people see that I have muscle mass, or see that I can deadlift, or see that I can squat, So I don't know. I guess it's kind of sad because I am so used to it. I don't even notice it most of the time. But being in a powerlifting gym is also that helps a lot, because it's normalized, they're women, strong women. So that's the environment I prefer to be in, and that I'm able to be in. When I first started powerlifting, I wasn't. I was just in a 24-hour fitness here, so like a commercial gym.
Yeah.
Nobody really lifts heavy there, so I kind of had to embrace being the one person, in the gym that was lifting heavy.
You'll get the occasional two plates on bench, and then that's it. Like, they've completed the gym. Then, you know what I mean? They will quit. They will go do whatever they want to do. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're planning on doing.
Pretty much. And then you put on, if you're a girl, you put on a plate, and guys will be like asking you if you need a spot, and it's funny.
Well, obviously with powerlifting, right? If anyone doesn't have a fucking clue about powerlifting, it's a pause bench, right? That's the way you do a bench press. There is no bouncing off your friggin' sternum or smacking it off your nips. Like, let's control it down. Let's like control the goddamn weight, then we're gonna press it off. And I think that's the funniest to watch. Like, if a female comes into like a commercial gym, right? I worked out of a commercial gym maybe I don't know, like 4 months. Okay, it didn't go down very well, but anyway, it was like 4 months. And there'll be a couple of ladies coming in that clearly knows what they're doing. I'm like, this is sick. Like, we need more of this. And they'll come down, they'll pause it, and you'll see like some lads like run over.
Yeah.
And then she'll throw it off like she's trying to juggle it, and it's hilarious. Like, okay.
Oh, never mind. I've had a couple instances like that. I'm like, it's all right.
Don't touch my bar.
Yeah, please don't touch it. Or even worse, like when you get someone to spot you, that used to be the worst. I'm like, I would literally just tell people, I'm like, don't touch the bar unless I'm dying. Like, literally, if it's falling on me, because that's the worst. People trying to spot you and grabbing the bar when you're like halfway up. Oh, why?
Yep.
Absolute worst. Especially, and I'm sure it's worse as a woman, because they're scared. Yeah, I don't know. Fun times.
Yeah, again, that just reminds me, training with my brother, you know, like if anyone jumps in and they wanna train with us, it's like, okay, cool, sit down. Like this is the rules. Okay. If you
Yes.
fucking go anywhere near that bar and it's not cracked my sternum, then I'm going to fucking break your face. Like it gets a bit
Exactly.
you know, boisterous, but it is
I
what it is.
literally I have to tell some of my clients that train in commercial gyms, I say, you need to coach your spotter. Like tell them, don't touch the bar unless you're seeing it come down on me, because I'll have so many girls who they'll just ask somebody random and then they'll get, a rep stolen from them or something because of that. I'm like, no, you got to coach your spotter. Make sure they know. Don't touch anything.
100%.
Fun times.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think it's missing at the moment? Like obviously like it's improved, right? With online, people can now see and access, okay, ladies are fucking badass and strong and as strong as blokes in a lot of cases. If not stronger, you know what I mean? So like what do you think it's missing from now going forwards? Like how would you as a lady, as an absolute weapon with a barbell, how would you want to mold that culture?
Oh man, that's hard. I think for me, the biggest thing that I see holding back women getting into strength sports is, I mean, women in general, we tend to compare ourselves a lot to other women. We already do that outside of the strength sphere. But so going into strength sports, I think a lot of women, it holds them back because they're like, oh, I'm not strong enough to get into it. I'm
Right.
not, I'm not strong enough to compete. I'm not strong enough to get into this sport. They think that they need to be at a certain level before they get into it. And for me, what I try to do with the platform that I have is kind of just encourage people, like, everybody starts somewhere. You should just jump into it. Like, you shouldn't, don't let that hold you back. Don't let the comparison of looking at some other girl who's lifting insane amounts of weight discourage you from getting into the sport. Because I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Like, you get into it and you get to build something and get stronger. Um, I think that's the biggest thing, is like, just we need to be better about promoting that. And I think I mentioned Meg Squats earlier. She's a friend of mine, but that's one of her goals, is just, getting a barbell in every woman's hands and just being like, just do it. It's fun. It's fun. Being strong is fun, and you don't have to be any level of strength before you get into it, before you get into strength sports. I mean, just, yeah, I guess that comparison game is something that I think holds back a lot of people. And I'd love to see more women just be like, oh, let me just jump into it and try it and get stronger.
It's funny, right? Because knowing the strength scene and those like strength gyms, functional gyms, all that type of stuff, the S&C type, you are the machine, not the leg press or the lat pull down or the bloody stairmaster or whatever. It's like, no, the majority of kit in here is going to be, free weight, and you're gonna shift it, and that whole mentality caused by that. Like, we know you walk in, right, and no one gives a fuck whether you're only lifting the barbell or not even lifting the barbell, you know what I mean, just refining technique with a broomstick. You know what I mean? Or if you've got every piece of weight in the gym, slapped it on one bar and you've ripped it and broke a world record, like, everyone is still so hyped that you've decided to get into that gym. And we know, like, we can probably pick out between us like 100 different people that are absolute monsters. However, if you walked up to them and gave them a cuddle, they would like laugh. You know what I mean? They're just absolute teddy bears. And like, on the outside, it seems like a really egotistical kind of narcissist like environment. And in fact, it is the absolute opposite of it. And it's trying to portray that to other people, and especially ladies, to get them in the gym, right? And it's a hard task, but we work in the fitness industry, so that's something that is one of our jobs, is to get people in, and it's I was having that conversation with a couple of people recently, right? Because the gym I work at is a couple of months ago hosted like an amateur powerlifting. Right, it was like, come in. We're kind of doing a little amateur thing. If you wanna like squat, bench, and deadlift, we'll kind of let you know with the cues. We've got some local like directors of the local province here that have come down too, so you can kind of get a little bit of a feel for what it would be like if you wanted to take it a little bit further. And like they kind of walked in, they were like, holy shit, everyone's so nice. It's like, yeah. Like at the end of the day, like whoever puts their hands on a barbell, the barbell's not going to give a shit about who the person is. Like it could be me, it could be you, it could be like someone who's in a wheelchair. Like it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, like the barbell's going to weigh 20 kilos or 15 kilos. It's going to be the same.
Yeah. And just the love of the love of lifting and getting stronger and how many people I know that are in strength sports, and we just want to share it with other people, that joy that it brings us, and like just that feeling of being strong, sharing it with another person it's such a fun feeling. And you don't see that a lot in others, maybe you do, but in other sports. But yeah, I think it's unique, and I don't think a lot of people realize how welcoming it really is, which is definitely, I tell people, it's definitely something that drew me into it. After doing my first meet, like I was just lifting to lift, and then I did a meet randomly for my first meet like 2 weeks after I signed up for it. So jumping into that and like, oh wow, like everybody's really nice. Like this is kind of weird. I think because I had been surrounded by bodybuilders, not to throw like too much shade, but I mean, that kind of world wasn't super welcoming to me from what I experienced. But then going into powerlifting, like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is pretty welcoming and not really what I expected. Which is really, I love it. I love it because of that, for sure.
Strength sports has got, it's just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those communities where you are going to get the most badass people on the planet, right? Who probably are like addicted to caffeine. They've ate way too many Haribos that day, or like Sour Patch Kids or whatever you guys usually nail. They're like hyped up on sugar, right? Someone slapped them. Like that's another one, right? Like what are they doing?
The slaps.
It's like, oh yeah, they just slapping each other. Why? Why aren't they just hyping each other up?
It's a good question. I one of my friends once asked me if he wanted me to slap, if I wanted him to slap me before one of my lips at one of my meets, and I was like, do not slap me or I might slap you back. Please don't. I'm not one of those people. One of those people. That doesn't hype me up. That'll just make me angry and probably distract me. So
yeah.
That always makes me laugh though, watching people do it. I'm like, oh, I mean, whatever works, I guess.
Especially with the Olympics, right? Let's just happened. Like everyone tunes in for the Olympics, and the only weight base there is weightlifting, right? So So what are they doing? He's just slapped a woman, and you just like you take it out of that equation. Holy shit, it's an offense. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get charged for that. But you put it in that environment. It's like, no, that coach probably loves her and cares for that woman more than anyone on the planet. But yes, he's just slapped her around the fucking face.
Yeah, like, exactly.
It's a weird dynamic.
It's weird. I think I'm sure people that show up to powerlifting meets like for the first time and see that stuff are like, what is going on? What did I get myself into?
Do I have to be slapped? It's like, no, mate.
It's so funny. Yeah.
And the fucking smelling salts too.
Oh yeah. People are like, what is that?
Like, yeah, well, do you want to try?
How do you explain that to someone? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, just give us this sniff. That's so funny. I think the first time I experienced smelling salsa, I don't even remember what someone told me it was. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they did that. They're just like, sniff this. I was like,
That's how I
what?
started.
Yeah.
Like, I
It's
was like,
like,
what's
here you
that? And
go.
I was, oh, sniff it. I'm like, all right. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then your eyes are burning and
Yeah.
yeah.
Ready to like punch a baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, no, that's not for me, man. Like, not for me. I don't know how people like shove it all the way up their nose. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume those can't be super strong because you can't like, yeah, some of the stronger ones, I'm like, oh, I'll be seeing stars after that. I'm like, I cannot. It's bad. They're strong. Some of those are strong, like to almost like a dangerous point. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's not safe at all.
Yeah. That's so true.
Like,
What like type of athlete are you? Do you like to get super hyped up, or do you go like super internal? Like what usually like fires you up?
I am very internal. I'm a
Mm,
very calm. I call myself a calm lifter. It's yeah. I don't really the external stuff doesn't really get to me. That doesn't really hype me up too much. Some good music.
mm,
I'll listen to some good music and just kind of like try to calm myself. If I get too hyped up and too yeah, I mean my adrenaline is already through the roof when I'm competing. So if I get too hyped up, then my technique is going to be off. So I tend to try to calm myself down instead of hyping myself up. um, so I'm the opposite of a lot of lifters. A lot of lifters like to do that, like slap themselves or get someone to slap them or yell and all this stuff, and I'm not. It's completely internal.
What does that change like lift to lift, or is that exactly the same?
um, no, it's pretty much the same. Yeah,
Mm,
pretty much the same. Yeah, thinking about it, I'm like, I mean, I get the most hyped up and like my adrenaline gets going the most for deadlifts just because I love it the most. Um, but it's still all pretty internal. Like I that's just kind of who I am as a person though in general. I don't really like outwardly, I don't know. Yeah, I tend to keep a lot of stuff like internal.
yeah, you're an introvert.
So it yeah.
Mm,
So kind of checks out, I guess.
mm,
Um, and also I don't know. I don't, it's almost like drawing attention to myself, I feel like, especially in the gym, like if there's, other people around, like that kind of gets my nerves even worse if there's tons of people watching me. I don't really care at meets, obviously, because that's part of it.
mm.
But yeah, in general, I'm just not one of those showy lifters. I'm not trying to make a big scene
Mm.
at the gym. I go in and do my work and, if people watch me, cool, but
Don't mind me.
I'm
I'm
not
just
gonna,
gonna, you know,
yeah.
bench press your boyfriend's deadlift.
No, I wish. I need my bench to catch up to everything else.
Well, it's hard though, right? Especially for ladies, like to come in like with a meaty bench, like it's
Yeah.
rough. Like flipping it over to the other side. There's so many lads that come in and get into the strength spot, and they've already got a big bench. You're like, fuck, okay, couple of technical
Yeah.
cues, and you're pretty much there, man. You know what I mean? But it's like that
Mm-hmm.
deadlift,
Mm-hmm.
that thing that you didn't want to pick up for 5 years.
Right, because
Probably
you're
gonna need
back.
it. Yeah. Oh god damn it. Don't get me started.
I hear that excuse so many. I've talked to like bodybuilder guys because there's a lot in this area, and that's the number one. Like, but my back. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot. I'm like, well, we need to have a chat about that because
You know the
that's
worst.
not how this works.
The worst is when like they go, oh no, I went to see the doctor and they told me to not do it because of my back. I was like, a fucking
Yeah,
medical professional told you to not hinge your hips.
that knows that yeah knows absolutely nothing about lifting.
Oh dear.
It's yeah, I know. I would do that. A couple times I've been to the doctor. Yeah, and they'll like ask me what I do, and then I'll tell them, and they'll like try to discourage me from lifting heavy, and I'm just like sitting there. I'll zone out. I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna listen to anything you say, honestly, because I'm the healthiest I've ever been. So
Exactly. Oh, that
wild.
winds me up. Have you ever had any back injuries?
Yes,
Low
I
back,
have.
upper back, neck?
Low back.
Mm.
Yeah, low back. I don't know if I can name that stuff, but low back. I usually it's my hips. Like my hips will get super tight, and then it'll
Yep.
start affecting my low back. Um, and when I first got into powerlifting, I think it was like my second year. That was like my first experience. It wasn't really like an injury. It was just I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how things worked. So my hip flexors were super tight. My psoas was like a rock. Um, and it was affecting my low back, and I thought I had a back injury because I was in pain. And then after finding people in the community that actually knew what they were talking about, I figured out what was happening. But I at that time I thought my career in powerlifting was over. I'm like, my back, I'm dying.
Mm.
But since then I've had like tweaks here and there, but nothing like super serious.
Mm.
Yeah, but not a fun time.
It's crazy,
Low
right?
back
Because
stuff is.
it's debilitating. Is that the word? I think so. Like
Yeah.
like we get caught in this cycle of treating symptoms, not the source. And I've
Yeah.
recently been had the I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to talk to a load of like high up physical therapists, and they basically turned around and was like, yeah, dude, like even through training themselves up through like universities and doctorates and all that, they had to like beat their head against the wall against lecturers because they're just caught in this treating symptoms
Yeah.
rather than the source. And it makes sense, right? If you put your business hat on, you're like, if I keep this person in pain, they will keep paying me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like
And that's chiropractors. And it was a big thing too that I've experienced of like it's kind of chiropractors, and then also pain management is something that I've learned like started really learning about this past year, because I didn't have a back injury, but I had a lot of back pain earlier in this year, so I've been coming off of that. But like learning about like the science behind pain, and then also working with I was working with a pretty good chiropractor, that helped a lot. But then there's a lot of like just really crappy chiropractors out there that are just like, oh, again, just treating the symptom and not ultimately helping you, just kind of like keeping you dependent on them. Like, oh, crack your back and do this stim or whatever on your back, and then come back to me next week. And nothing changes.
Yeah, like
Um,
I've got a really good mate of mine back home, and he's absolutely fantastic. He's a chiropractor, right? And every time I used to go see him, it would basically be a lecture because I'd ask so many
yep.
questions because I was obviously
Yeah.
interested in this thing, and he would be like, "Okay, cool, because of this, this, and this." I'm like, "Okay, wicked," like, and like learning from him, and it was like, "No, I don't want to see you until like it's necessary."
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, you get a good chiropractor, they're worth their weight in gold. However,
Oh
like
yeah.
as with like overpopulation and whatever we want to throw out there, like you do get those individuals where it's like, in fact, if I get Kelly to come back next week and then the week
Yep.
after, and then we'll go to like once every other week, or what do they turn around? What's the best one? 3 times a week, and then we're gonna knock it down
Yes.
to like once every 6 days. You're like 6 days.
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
And then once every other week, and
Uh,
yeah, yes, I've experienced all that. Not a fun time,
no.
but definitely being in strength sports for a while now, and then meeting, like you said, more like higher up PTs, just like that teach you about certain things and how to treat like the cause of it, and not just the symptoms, is, yeah, absolutely priceless.
Mm.
Definitely helped me a lot. I'm like, I wish I knew all this like at the beginning.
Yeah, me too, man. Like, there's so many mistakes. I think I could write an entire book, and then it would be very, very big, bigger than like an
Yes.
encyclopedia of all the mistakes I made, right? And I did have a pretty serious back injury, like low back. I was around, I don't know, 18, 19, something like that. I can't really remember. And yeah, so basically a spinal fucking, he was the guy to go see. And I was like, okay, cool, because I have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on. It's like, yeah, well, you've ruptured a disc and it's pretty bad. I was like, oh,
Ruptured.
yeah, it was pretty bad, right? I couldn't.
And you were like, my life is over.
I was like, what the fuck's going on? And no, it was weird though, because I'm a bit stubborn, right? In fact,
Yeah.
I take that back. I'm very stubborn. So
Same.
he turned around, I was like, yeah, you'll never lift a weight again. Alex, you're done. Like,
What?
and I'm like 18, 19 at the time. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, we've just had like a 10-minute conversation, and I said, this is my profession. I work in this scene, and I help people, and this is what I do for work. You know what I mean? And he touched him. I was like, yeah. He literally said, he was like, have you ever heard of the elliptical? And I was like,
Oh
I was like, I'll play ball. Okay. I'll play ball. Yeah. Yes, I've heard the elliptical. It's like, oh, maybe you should take that up. I was like, the motherfucker. Like, that's it. Literally stood up. I was like, thank you very much for your time, but that's your opinion. It's only an opinion. And shook his hand and turned around and like hobbled out. I was like, and just like, I'm just gonna see myself out now. Yeah, it's weird. Like Western medicine, eh?
Yeah, it's wild. It's having to, and then just having to sift through all of it and figure out what's BS and what's not. It's so hard.
It makes me want to it makes me want to go to university and be like, look, I'm going to get all the certificates, so I'm going to be able to give you the middle finger, but at the same time, I'm like, I probably wouldn't make it through uni.
Yeah.
It's not.
I know some people like that. I've heard some people like that who just like went through all this schooling, and the whole entire time they're just rolling their eyes like, this is a load of shit.
It's hard, right?
Wild.
Especially we're trying to like figure out an organic thing that we still don't really understand, and now they're trying to teach it in a definitive manner, and that's impossible. If we don't truly understand what this thing is, our body is, right? And then also like you start bringing in the factor of like our brain, right? We have no idea what that is. How can you tell a student like exactly what it is? Like, we don't know. You can, it's like a gray area. You have to be able to explain, hey team, this is one theory, this is one theory. Ultimately, you're going to have to side on one theory and kind of go down that avenue and make your own mind up. However, we don't really know, but that's not, how they structure the school system. They turn around and be like, nope, this is the way it is. I'm like, is it really?
Is it really?
Are you sure?
Can you prove that all these other ways are not the way?
Yeah. It's just like the English language, right? We've got so many rules, but then we have so many exceptions to those rules. Right. It's like, well, do we have any rules then? If there's like, like let's be honest. Although everyone,
let's be honest here,
everyone who's outside of Britain speaks better English than British people. Like, legitimately, I will die on that hill.
Which is interesting.
Like,
that's so funny. Isn't that wild? It's so weird. When you think about that,
it's so
doesn't
weird.
Make any sense?
Because people who, so yeah, obviously native English speakers for like you guys over there, and then obviously Kiwis over here and Australians and that. But you're not like, let's break it down. It's English, right? So it didn't come from that land. It came from Britain or England. We'll say Britain. And yeah, it's evolved over time. We're not going to get into the history of it, right? But if I'm getting taught how to spell my own language or how to like grammatically structure a sentence, there's an issue here, right? And it's weird because I'll leave. I'll be like, is that the way you say it? Is that the way you write it? And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, do they not teach you that in school? I'm like, no.
That's so wild. That is wild.
Absolutely bonkers.
Like, it's just the schooling is so different there. Is that what's going? That's the difference?
Yeah. So I'm from like the Northwest, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the North and South is kind of, it's more different than East and West of the States.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of like that, if you can draw a comparison. Um,
Yeah.
and the way we talk is very, very different. Like, we've got different accents. Like, if I go to the east side of my city, they sound slightly different, and it's the same city. It's
Okay.
absolutely crazy, right? Anyway, I worked in the south of England for 3 years, and when I went down, I actually spoke to someone who was doing literature at like masters or doctorate or whatever he was doing, right? And we broke it down,
Yeah.
and you learn like the phonetic alphabet. So we learn like
Mm-hmm.
ABC, but you learn the sounds before it in school.
Yeah.
We learn different sounds,
Interesting.
and like it blew my mind. Cause I'm like, what do you mean we learn different sounds? He was like, say this, but in like phonetic. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, that's a U. It's an O. And it was like, no, it's like an O. I'm like, no, that's an O. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like,
That's so wild.
I'm literally 200 miles away from him. Like, I could throw a tennis ball that far. You know what I mean? We're not a big country, but we
Yeah.
learn the basis of our verbal communication. And let's be honest, most of the world converses in English, right? And we learn it
Yeah.
differently in the land where it was created. It's absolutely wild.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, I guess that's the one thing that is not one thing, but one of the things that is unique about the US is that because everything, is taught universally, that pretty much the same. I mean, you have different accents
Mm.
from, if you're up north or down south, there's different accents, but in general, everybody's taught the same. So,
Wow.
which is, I mean, and it's like, I think that sometimes people don't understand how massive this country is, it's
It's
like
it's
absolutely
mental.
insane. Like, I heard someone compare it the other day, because like when you're here, you don't think about it.
Mm.
But someone comparing about, like, because people give the US so much shit about random stuff, and it's like, you don't understand how many people we're trying, you're trying to corral all these, how many people in this massive country. Like, what somebody said that, like, the entire, like, I don't forget what portion of Europe, or all Europe, whatever it was, could fit inside the US. And it's like, what? This is so crazy to think of, like, how massive this country is. And most people don't realize that. And I guess that kind of blows my mind too, of like thinking about that, of how our language here is pretty much, yeah, very universal within the states. And
Mm.
like, yeah, compared to other countries that have different, I don't know, what is that, dialects?
Dialects, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's something
So
that
interesting.
winds me up when people like to shit on America, right? And you're just like, get a map out. Have you seen the
Yeah.
fucking size of it? Like Britain can fit inside of Texas like 50 times.
Yes. I
Like
mean, that isn't that insane? I'm like, people do not realize the size. Like, I'm like, this is insane.
like I didn't
Yeah, even
I don't understand. I feel like I'm in like, it's weird, right? For example, I lived in Auckland, which is like the north of the North Island. So you're like
mhm.
3/4 of the way up, and now I live like pretty much just off center of the South Island, right? And to drive
Yeah.
that is like 14 hours, and that blows my goddamn mind, right? I wouldn't drive to
Yeah.
London because it would take me 4 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
4 hours?
Yeah.
Piss off. I'm not driving 4 hours. That's way too far.
That's Texas. Texas, you can drive for fucking like 8, 9 hours and you're still inside Texas.
No way.
It's insane.
Like I don't.
When I moved here, I'm like, I'm still in Texas.
And also, it's, you're like, okay, yeah, I've moved states. I'm like, okay, yeah, you've shifted states, so you're welcome to whatever. And you're like, cool. What country I'm in? Oh yeah, you're in the same country. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, people do not realize. I'm like, you guys need a geography.
Yeah, but
Honestly.
as with anything, right? And I think travel is overrated in some regards, because people are like, I'm gonna go find myself. I'm like, I don't know why I just put an
Yeah.
American accent. I apologize, but
I know, but it's accurate. It's very accurate.
but you know what I mean? Like those fucking middle
Yes.
class people going, I'm gonna go find myself on the other side of the world. It's like, no, Jerry, you can find yourself
Yeah.
wherever you want. You just got to do the work to get there. But also, it's underrated in the sense of like, if you want to go
Absolutely.
understand a culture, right? Go fucking put yourself in the culture.
Yep.
Ask a question. Like, for example, like, I mean, even the conversation we had now, right? Of like, I don't get the prejudice on women in a gym because I'm not a woman in a gym. So I'm gonna go ask a woman in a gym. Like,
Yep.
rather than be like, no, I know what's going on here. Like, it's like, how am I supposed to know? Like, that's not gonna happen. Like, go pick yourself up, throw yourself in the deep end. You'll figure out how to swim. You'll speak to the fish around. It's probably not the greatest metaphor, but anyway. And then
It's true though.
you'll learn.
Traveling is absolutely like I tell everybody that's like, yeah, it opens your eyes to so much. I'm really grateful that I've been able to travel the amount that I have, and that would just change your perspective on absolutely everything when you're able to travel and you're just like different, yeah, different people, different cultures. Like it's just it kind of reminds you like everything doesn't revolve around, wherever you live. Like everything is not like this. There's other people out there that are living completely different lives.
Yeah, and
Um,
like you'll also like tie similarities too, right? In the
for
sense
sure.
of like
Everyone's so similar.
yeah, and like coming out the arse end of like a pandemic, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everyone's kind of been thrown a really shit hand, and we're all kind of in this together. And then we're the real pandemic, let's be honest, is the mental health crisis in the world, right?
Yes.
But again, something that blew my mind is I came over here, right? Literally the furthest I can go from home. Like it's 12,000 miles. It is the furthest I can travel. And then I met a
Mm-hmm.
guy from Samoa, right, which is a little bit further. It's a tiny, tiny island. And he came over here years ago and we started chatting. And literally, I'm maybe half his age, just under.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 6'5". I'm 5'10" on a good day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm obviously as
Those
white as
Samoans.
they're huge.
I have a lot of Samoan friends. I have a lot of friends actually from New Zealand and from, yeah.
They
So that's
they are
interesting.
specimens.
They're massive.
I also just want to give him a cuddle. You know what I mean? I'm like, you
Yeah.
just look like such a cuddly little teddy bear.
They
But
are. They're big teddy bears. They're
yeah,
big teddy. Every Samoan I know. Every Samoan I know.
great
It's so funny.
people, great culture,
Mhm.
fucking great people. Love the accent
Love the
too,
culture. Yes.
the
Agreed.
accent's pretty cool. Anyway, like yeah, like all the differences you could possibly imagine, right? And then
Hmm.
we started chatting
Hmm.
about upbringing and difficulties and anything that we mentally struggle with, right? It's
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on?
Yep. Yep.
I was like, how are we relating? You know what I mean? Like, this
Hmm.
is weird.
Hmm.
So you're not gonna know that, am I? I'm not gonna read that on an article and be like, yeah, Samoa,
Right.
we're the same.
Right. Yeah.
You've got to be able to put
Just
yourself in that
traveling and
environment.
experience. Yeah, for sure. I mean that's in tying it back to strength sports. That's one of the cool things about strength sports is when this brings us all kind of together through social media. You meet people from all over the world, and you do realize like people are going through the same stuff. Especially through the pandemic. of like, we're all struggling, 3 days trying to figure out how to train, how to, figure out, mental health stuff that we're all struggling with. And yeah, it's crazy how we kind of forget that of like, everybody is very, very similar, like more similar than we like to think. And I think that's something that over this past year, with like all the craziness happening in the US, around the world in general, but most specifically the US, of like, there's so much divisiveness going on, and it's like people forget that everyone's so similar. Like, everybody wants the same thing, people want the same shit. Everybody wants to be healthy, they want to take care of their family, it's just like, we're all pretty similar, guys. Like, you gotta remember that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's wild that I think definitely traveling reminds you of that, meeting new people, having these conversations of like, we may live in different cultures and experience a lot of different things, but we all have a lot of similarities.
I think that's beautiful too, right? Because we can break down those barriers of like national borders and like lines we drew in a sand for no fucking reason, and we like, actually, a man of the world, period, like, full stop. I'd like to be able to relate to someone on the other side of the world and have a conversation with them without these, preset prejudice slapped on. You know what I mean? It's like, no, why should we not get on because we're from that side of the, that grass or this grass? Like, grass is always greener. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
No sense at all. Kel, I really, really appreciate your time. I know you're like super busy moving houses.
No, you're good. I've enjoyed it. Kind of forced me to slow down and not think about all the stuff I have to get done.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's like a little dip back into reality.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're fine.
No, I really appreciate your time. And if you're ever in like the bottom right hand corner of the world, kind of just floating around, not doing much, come down, throw down. It's a pretty cool gym. Grab a coffee, try some shit again.
Would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Well,
for sure. And if you're ever in Texas,
I'll just find myself in the desert, right?
Like,
oh, I'm in the desert. Oh, I'll just call Kel.
Hey, funny thing, people think that all of Texas is like that. Houston is like almost tropical.
Shit.
It's the most green. We have humidity, like it literally feels like you're in the tropics because it's so hot and so humid.
Wow.
And everything is green.
If it's hot, you're not going to find me there. Like,
trust me, you don't want to be, unless it's in like the winter, which is like, winter here is only like, what, 70 degrees or something?
Oh, that's Fahrenheit. What's Fahrenheit? 70 degrees.
So what is that? So 30? No.
20 something, right?
I don't know. Yeah, 20 something.
Because 30, what is it? 35 is freezing.
Not 30. Yeah. I don't know. I'm too American.
Maths.
Math.
We did fucking, what was it? Oh, we're technically still in winter, right? Which blows my mind. Yeah. Like, because we're like Southern Hemisphere, right? And again, I'm going to throw this out to everyone who's listening in the Southern Hemisphere, that Christmas should not be hot. Okay.
I have to leave Texas because it's like 70 something.
Like,
it's hot.
Santa doesn't come in on a bloody surfboard. He comes in on a sleigh, which goes on snow. Like, it's, I get pretty passionate about this point, as you can probably tell. But we were out training outside because we're like in lockdown at the moment. Only for like 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks. And I kind of got a home gym set up, right? So I just kind of moved it a little bit to the right, put it outside. It was 14 degrees Celsius, which is like probably nothing for you, but I was absolutely dying.
Yeah.
I was like, it's too hot. It's too hot.
It's way too,
I need to go back to like freezing temperatures, snow everywhere, and I can blend in.
So in winter here, it gets around 21.
Fuck that.
Yeah, and
Jesus.
that's like cooler here. Yeah,
I'd be that
not
guy
fun.
that never wears clothes. Like, what is he doing? I was like, I'm dying.
Honestly, well, right now it's around 32. 32, 33-ish is what we're around right now. And it's humid, like super humid. So it makes it feel even worse. Probably like 35.
So I went to Dubai, right, for like 4 days.
Mm.
This, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. And I landed at midnight. And it was the hottest thing I'd ever experienced in my life. And it was midnight.
How hot was that?
It was like at midnight, it was like 35
Yeah.
to 37 degrees.
Yeah.
Like
Is
it
it
was,
dry heat?
yeah, like
Was it okay? Yeah, dry heat.
absolutely
It's
insane.
almost. Does it get super humid there? Does it get humid?
That I don't know, to be honest, because it's on the
Okay.
coast,
Probably
but
not.
it's just a
Yeah.
desert. You know what I mean? It's just
Okay.
sand.
Okay. Yeah. What about there in New Zealand?
So we're split into like two islands, right? So the top one is very Pacific, like you feel like you're in
Okay.
the Pacific.
Pretty
Um,
humid. Okay.
yeah, it gets very humid. Like I arrived in
Okay.
summer in Auckland, and I was like, holy shit, like this is humid.
Yeah.
And it
Okay.
got to 35.
Okay. Pretty hot.
But down here is like more alpine. It reminds me of like Europe. So it kind of
Okay.
gets like dry heat.
Yeah.
But again, it can get to like 35, 40 degrees in summer, which I basically siesta
Yeah.
because I can't do it.
I would too.
It's too hot. Like,
That's basically me. I'm like right now I'm like because it'll get up to yeah like 33, 34, 35, and humid on top of that. So then it just feels like it's absolutely so I'm like I don't even want to be outside. I'm good. I'll just stay inside.
it's like it's like a different type of like rays here though, because obviously like we know fucking global warming and all that, but there was like a
Mm,
hole over the ozone layer directly over New
yeah.
Zealand. So like you go outside, right? And it could be a clear day. It's not that hot, but it's like clear, right? So it's just the sun is beaming on you. And in 5 minutes, you are
hmm
absolutely charcoaled.
5 minutes.
Yeah, like you've got to be like super
That's
careful.
insane. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like pretty dangerous.
Yeah, like everyone is like SPF 50.
That wow.
So
I mean,
me being a white boy, I'm like SPF 500.
yeah. Whatever the highest amount is.
Yeah,
Or just wear long sleeve or just wear long sleeves.
just covered myself up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is he wearing a burqa? What are you doing?
You're like,
I was like,
relax.
I'll tell you what, like they're onto something here. I'm not getting burnt.
It's true. It's true. The more you think about that, you're like, well, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Right? I've
It
just got like some
does.
blonde hair sticking through it. They're like, that doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Wait a second.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, sorry guys. I'm just too
I'm
white.
just
Like
really white. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just
I'm just really white.
like reflective. Legit. Like I can't if it gets hot, right? Like so hot. I don't really like training shirtless because I don't know, I find it uncomfortable because I sweat
Mhm.
so much because like I
A
said,
lot of
I'm white.
guys here a lot of guys here are like that. I was like, that's so funny because like to me, I'm like, well, wouldn't you want like to be,
Mm.
I don't know, as least clothed as possible? The guys at my gym, because it's so humid and are wearing an outside gym, like a
Mm.
warehouse gym, they'll bring like three shirts.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
like
funny.
3 gallons of water because you're just gonna
Yes.
drip it all out.
Yep.
But I legitimately, if I take it off, like I can't video it because I look reflective.
It'll just shine off of you.
It's like, what am I looking? The Bible like floats above into the air. Like I can't see anything.
I love it.
I could just see like this red nose, like it's fucking Rudolph. I'm like, here we go.
So funny. So funny.
Oh, eyeball problems.
Right.
You know, next Ice Age, I'm gonna be fine. Fuck yous.
Right, exactly. You'll be fine.
I'll have the last laugh.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately.
Ultimately, I'd love to know, like, do some like
Uh,
DNA testing.
yeah, like 23andMe.
What's that?
They do that. It's like a online. They ship you like a kit, and you like prick your finger, and they do a DNA test, and they'll give you like your entire like heritage and stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Do you know your heritage?
I've heard it's pretty. I don't know my DNA one. I know I'm third generation Irish,
Ah,
so I'm pretty white too.
well, they are so white over in Ireland.
Very white.
Have you
I
ever
don't know
seen a
what kind
sky?
of skin I got though. Have I? Well, yeah, right. Basically,
Yeah.
yeah, they're pretty white. My family, my older brother is a redhead,
Yeah.
so we're very, all freckles. You can't really tell, but I have all freckles, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm Irish, Scottish, so
They're the same thing.
yep, yeah, same thing.
I, I like to throw that out. My best mate here and my roommate, he's fucking Scottish, so I like to take the piss out of him.
Diddy. Oh, that's funny.
They're the same thing,
Then they get all offended.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm
No,
like,
they're
okay,
not.
yeah, here
Yeah,
we go.
exactly.
We didn't get taken over by the Romans. Oh, we going back 2,000
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yes, you got to go back to the history.
Yeah, here we
Yep.
go. Yeah, it's funny.
So funny.
Skin of a ginger. Yeah, that's
Skin of a ginger. Yeah, I do. I don't know. I think my mom and I have, like, it looks like I have a skin of the ginger. I can get pretty white, but I can also tan. I tan pretty a lot. So, um, yeah. My dog is trying to get in my door.
cute.
It's thundering. It just started thundering here. Speaking of our weather, pretty tropical. It'll storm like a couple times a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something I can get on board with though. Like freaky weather, I find fascinating.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's starting to thunder and lightning here.
Like because back home, like it's not even freaky weather, it's normal. Like we just get rain and it will rain
Yeah.
continuously. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not like
Yep.
absolutely chucking it down like a rainstorm, like a tropical rainstorm, but it will just
Mhm.
be grey and rain for like 3 weeks. Like,
Interesting.
oh, this is nice.
So depressing weather.
Oh yeah. I mean legit. That's why everyone like lives in a pub.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense, honestly.
Yeah. Like it's a public house, right?
That's so funny.
Yeah. I do miss a good old English pub though.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun when I went over to, I like the pubs in Ireland. I'm kind of
Mm,
partial because I guess I'm Irish, but
mm.
I had a lot of fun in those. Those are fun. I'm like, why don't we have things like this I mean, we have pubs here, like, Irish pubs
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's not the same.
You go to like, yeah, it's not the same as Ireland. However, you
Yeah.
go to like an Irish bar anywhere in the world and you know it's gonna pop off.
Yeah. Right. Oh, for sure. 100%. 100%.
Like I always love bumping in there. Like I think the first night out I had here in Auckland, I ended up in an Irish bar. Like as you do, I have no idea where I am. I'm on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
End up in an Irish bar, and ended up fucking tagging onto this group with I think there was like 3 Irish people, 1 Welshman and a Scot, and I was the Englishman. And I was just like, hold on a minute, hey lads. Like we could have done this at home. We didn't have to travel to the other side of the world to do this. You know what I mean? Like we're all
Yeah.
from home, and now we're just
Right.
hanging out together. But hey, it was a good time.
That's so funny. I love it. Yeah.
And they also allow
Definitely
you to dance on the tables.
yeah, which they don't do anywhere else.
Yeah,
I love it.
dancing on the tables is where it's at.
Oh, the pubs. My dog is.
Oh,
He's very, very not happy with the thunder.
does he get scared?
Yes, he's a big baby. He was scratching at my door.
Oh no.
He's
I
like,
got
it's funny. He's freaking out.
He's also jealous, like you're not giving him any attention.
Yeah, he's like, you have to let me in here because I need to be next to you. I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, all right, relax.
That's fair enough. Like I got a little kitty, right? And she's
Mm,
literally my shadow. Like if I have too long of a conversation with people, she'll jump on like
yeah,
whatever furniture next to me, like get on her back
yeah.
legs and put one paw on my chest and be like, "Excuse me."
Needy,
Yeah. Oh, it's
needy.
absolutely ridiculous.
That's how he is. He can be he's very clingy, especially yesterday with me moving. He was just following me everywhere. Going to the
Hmm.
bathroom, he'll follow me in there.
Oh, what are you doing? I'm
I'll
taking a
sh-
piss.
yeah, I'll shower. Yeah, I'll shower, take a shower. He'll lay outside the tub, just right next to me. Just wait, stick his head in, see what's going on.
I look away, you perv. Like, oh, I'm just see what you're doing.
Yeah, really? No privacy. Not a
Yeah.
thing.
Hey, the family, you know what I mean? Like you've got to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's funny.
100%. Yeah.
So
Well,
funny.
I'll let you cuddle a little man.
Thanks. Yeah, I have to comfort him. It's freaking out.
Bless him. Or maybe he's
Thank you
comforting
for
you.
having me on. I know he is. That's literally what he's doing. I think he knows I'm anxious. I'm like
He's the savior.
stressed. He is my emotional support animal.
Yes, miss. No, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
And
Fun chat.
if I find myself in the tropical desert, I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do.
All right, mate. All right. Have a good day, and hopefully
Thank
the
you.
rearranging goes all right.
Yeah, thanks. It's gonna probably take a couple weeks, but we'll see how it goes.
Always does, right? Always takes longer than usual.
Right. Yeah. All
All
right.
right,
Thank
spot on.
you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.